Hey guys, it's Hink here, and today we have a very spicy one for you. And so what we're going to be looking at is using actual science so you can know what are the chances that you are her biggest. A lot of guys are very insecure about this and want to know, and I, using science and actual real math, have a method that we can actually give you some real answers or so. Definitively, if you're this big, what are the chances that you're her biggest? And so we're going to break that down today. So one of the reasons that I want to do this video is because I don't want you guys asking, guys, there's nothing that women in general like less than an insecure man. And so if you're sitting there asking her like, am I your biggest? Am I your biggest? Like, you're going to look like a little bitch and she's not going to like that. So guys, please do not ask. I have a whole video about like, do not ask. Okay. Or we have to stop asking, because at best, you're going to make her think about all the other D's that she's been with. And at its worst, you're going to seem like a little insecure little boy and she's going to break up with you. And so there's literally no good that can come from it. Some people might even go so far as if she says like, yes, you are my biggest, then they're going to think that she's lying or something. So guys, just trust me. Just don't ask the question, okay? Because at the end of the day, guys, she's with you. That's all that matters. The other important thing is, guys, women don't care. So here's the study that was done, and I'm going to read some of these quotes with you, and Callie's going to put it on the screen. 89% of women responded yes when asked, do you find the size of your partner's penis satisfactory? Furthermore, 29% reported that the bigger penis, the better. So the far minority of women actually think the bigger penis, the better, whereas 51% reported that a bigger penis did not matter for sexual satisfaction. So those are real numbers from a real study. So guys, I promise you women don't care nearly as much as you do. Now guys, there's some parameters that we have to set up here in order to make these maths work, okay? Number one, I'm going to be using this paper here. It's basically the Am I Normal paper, where they looked at over 15,000 men and reported their distribution of size, which for our purposes mean that there was an erect length of 5.17 inches, like the mean on average, with a range within the standard deviation of about 4.5 to 5.8 inches, okay? With girth, this paper demonstrated that the erect girth is about 4.59 inches with a range of about 4.1 to 5 inches. So guys, why do I say like standard deviation range? So guys, we need to use something that's called a standard deviation. So here's a picture of it here. It just basically shows the normal variations of a population, of a certain trait in a population. For example, you can know how rare a trait is based on how many standard deviations it is away from the mean. So guys, the other parameter that we need to discuss, now keep in mind, I'm not slut shaming whether you're male or female or whatever, but body count matters, guys. And so we need to have some variation, or we need to know what a normal body count is, or average body count is. So here is the US data from the CDC, which says that the average number of sexual partners for a woman is between 4 to 8 partners, okay, over their lifetime, basically. And here's a pretty nice graph. Now, this was back between 2015 and 2019, before like things like Tinder and Hinge and Bumble or whatever all took off. And you can see the distribution of partners between men and women. For my purposes in doing this exercise, we're going to be looking at women that have 4 partners, 8 partners, or greater than 15 partners. And guys, if you've seen my video on penis size and satisfaction when it comes to sexual intercourse, you have seen this data that I presented before, and there's basically unequivocal evidence that the more partners that your partner has, the more likely they're going to prefer a larger size, okay? So here's a paper, and if you look here where it says the numbers of partners, and look where it says greater than 5 all the way at the end, and you can see under penile length, very important, almost a quarter of the women, okay, well 1 in 5 of the women, 20% of the women says that length is very important. And with girth, you have an even higher percentage. 26.3% of women said that girth was very important, where if you look at the women that have only had 1 to 2 partners, only about 15% of them say that the girth is very important, guys. Body count matters, guys. I'm not shaming. I'm just saying body count matters. All right, guys, and briefly, we're going to get into the math here, okay? And so in order to do this, the first thing we have to do is define the values, okay? So the mean penis size is 5.17 inches based on that paper, with the standard deviation range of 0.65 inches is what that range converts to. For purposes of this illustration, I used a penis length of 5.2 inches. And also just to set up some parameters, which really didn't matter, I just said that the maximum penis length is going to be about 9.5 inches. To start with, we used the number of partners being 4. So step 1 is calculate the Z-score. Okay, I'm not going to break all this down, but here's the formula that you can see where the z-score represents basically how many standard deviations away from the mean your value is. Calculating the z-score, we get a value of 0.46. Now that we have that z-score, we can use that to actually calculate the probability, which you can see using this equation here. We can then calculate the probability of being the longest partner, assuming that we're using 4 partners and there's basically a random distribution to the partners that the individual chooses. And so through these calculations, you can see that the probability of you having the largest penis that your partner has had, if they have 4 partners, is about 5.38%, okay? If you guys want to go through the math, you can obviously pause all those screenshots on the screen and go back. But for my purposes, now that you've seen the work, let's just get into the nitty-gritty here. So we're going to start with length, okay? And so we're going to start with length in the 4-partner distribution. Here's a graph here, guys, where you can see if your partner has had 4 partners, here's the probability based on the number of inches on the x-axis, and you can see the probability on the y-axis. So you could calculate, okay, my partner has 4 partners and I am 6 inches. If you scroll up to where it says 6, it looks like it's probably just short of 70%. I also have included the table values. And so if you're 6 inches, it's about 65% chance that you are their biggest. If you guys want to, at any point, you can pause these little charts on the screen or pause the tables and you can look up your specific values, okay? And guys, once again, this chart is not saying whether you have a big or a small penis. It's just saying what is the probability that you are her biggest. So guys, let's look at how that changes if your partner has had 8 partners. We will type in the same information and you can see here on this graph, and I'll have Callie put the graph side by side here. There's a significant difference to the graph and to the values. The probability of you being her biggest goes down actually significantly, especially for some of those still honestly quite big values when we're talking about the in my opinion, like the 6 to 7 range. And finally, guys, we're going to look at the 15 partners and how those numbers change basically over time. And so if your partner has had basically 15 partners and arguably more, you can use this data to show that, okay, if you're on the average range, anywhere within that 1 standard deviation, the chance of you being her biggest is essentially 0, okay? But then as we go up between the 5.75, 6 to 6.75, that's where you can see this huge jump where you actually do have a higher probability of being her largest. And guys, I do think it's interesting that on all these charts, being about 6.75 inches or bigger means that there's essentially guaranteed that you're greater than a 90% chance that you have been her biggest, just in general, looking at a random distribution. And guys, once again, that's just talking about length. So now let's talk about girth. Once again, we have to establish some parameters, and using the girth that was defined in that paper for what is the range, with once again, the range being about 4.59 inches is the median, or the mean or average penile girth, with a range between 4.1 to 5 inches. So here's the graph looking at only 4 partners for the different girth numerical values and what are the probability that you will be her thickest. You can see that if you have a girth of anywhere between 4 to 5, there's essentially no chance that you're going to be her biggest. However, once you start getting really above that 5.5 range, it's pretty much guaranteed that you're going to be her biggest. In my opinion, that's pretty encouraging that this number isn't like, okay, you have to get to 7 inches before you can guarantee to be her biggest. Because especially once you get above pretty much 5.75 inches, there's like a 99% chance that you're going to be her biggest. But let's look at 8 partners and let's see how this changes. Now, once again, when you're looking at 8 partners, you still have a pretty steep curve of when the girth is basically maxing out, which is right at about 5.75 inches, guys, of girth. There's a extremely high likelihood that you're going to be her biggest. But once again, for some of those values below that whole graph does shift to the side, okay? And guys, once again, this is looking at 15 partners. And you can see, once again, especially for those values that are really like 5.5 and below, like there's a dramatic change in the actual proportional chance that you are her biggest. However, that once again, that 5.75 mark on girth does appear to be the sweet spot regardless of the number of partners, that you have an extremely high likelihood that you will be her biggest. And so guys, I wanted to switch this up a little bit and just look at like basically what is the difference that actual number of partners makes as far as the probability of you being her biggest. So to start with, I looked at a number of 5.9 inches, which is greater than one standard deviation above the mean. So that means you're unequivocally big. Without a doubt, you cannot, and nobody can say you're average. You are clearly scientifically into the big range. And so guys, check out this graph here. Now keep in mind, the x-axis doesn't end in 0, but look at the distribution. So if you have basically one partner and you are 5.9 inches, I mean, duh, okay? It's like, oh, you're her one and only. But even as you start to be in 2-partner range, you still have about a 75% chance that you are biggest. But look at that drop off of 5.9, just 5.9 inches. But guys, look how this drops off. When you get up to 10 partners, you can see that the probability of you being the longest partner she's had drops off significantly, okay? Then just for shits and giggles, I wanted to look at 2 standard deviations above average. That number is 6.5 inches, guys. Keep in mind, guys, all of these numbers are bone-pressed numbers, meaning you take your ruler and you press it all the way into your pubic bone. So it's not what's visible, it's what you press down all the way against the pubic. Here's the graph. Look how it changes when you're 6.5 inches, which is 2 standard deviations above the mean. You can see that the probability stays up much, much higher, but it still does have a significant drop-off with the more partners that you get. And for purposes of this, I just stopped at 10 partners. So guys, what are my takeaways? Well, I thought this was a pretty fun and pretty interesting exercise that hopefully, if you guys are that insecure and you're just dying to calculate what are the chances I'm her biggest, now you have a tool where you know how you can actually calculate this, or you can pull up this video, pause on the charts, and kind of run your finger along and see where it is. So you don't have to ask, guys, because I promise you there's no good that's going to come from asking that question. But guys, please try not to think about this. Like, I don't know how many times I have to say this. There's so much more to life than the size of your D. There just is. There's so much more to it. There's so much more to what a woman finds value in you, or a man for that matter, than the size of your D, guys. So please do not put too much stock in that. And guys, I've already talked about how women don't particularly care overall. Most of them, 89% of them, are very satisfied with the current size of their partner's D. The other thing to keep in mind with this, guys, is this assumes a random distribution. If your ex only dated NBA players, that the average height is like 6'5", 6'6". I mean, even though there's not a direct correlation with height, like you get the idea. If your ex only dated corn stars and you're an average guy, these values are going to shift depending on their distribution. In my experience, the people that I've heard about on Tinder that are just like out there swiping right or left, whatever the one that like down your DTF, like those are going to be the bigger guys. And so if your girl is out there on Tinder and has had a bunch of one-night stands, then maybe that chance that she's had one of the bigger sizes, goes up more than your average. So these numbers are just based on a random distribution with the best information that we have, guys. So it's not perfect. And so I do want to know what you think in the comments. Like, is this totally crap, or what has been your experience? Is this kind of congruent with your experience? And guys, odds are odds for a reason. If you have a 99% chance that you're her biggest, there's still a 1% chance that she's had bigger than you. I mean, and it conversely goes the same way. If there's a 1% chance that you're her biggest, there's still a 1% chance that you're her biggest. And so take that as a win. But just, these are odds for a reason. So just once again, don't put too much stock in this, guys. I just thought this was a kind of a fun and interesting thing. And guys, if you are worried about the size of your D, and if you are her biggest, once again, I'm not trying to shame anybody, but like, find somebody with a very low body count. There's a hack for you. My girl, I am her one and only. Makes these conversations a lot easier. When I'm like, hey, am I your biggest? I mean, I don't ask her that, but it's like, oh, that's reassuring to know that. Similarly, guys, some guys don't care, and they're probably not the guys that are watching this video right now. But it does go for men too. Guys, like I've said this before, I don't think that there's anything to be proud of that, like, oh, I've slept with, so many women, or I've had so many one-night stands, or I crush pussy. Like, I don't think that's something to be proud of, personally, okay? You do whatever makes you happy. I'm not trying to, I am kind of judging, but, like, who am I to judge you? But I do think that there is a certain kind of self-respect that you need to have for yourself, and to share such an intimate thing
with somebody that you truly care about, rather than just like somebody you swiped right on Tinder. But, you know, that's just me. I'm an old-fashioned guy, and I just yell at the clouds. So guys, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know if this was worth it, if you prefer me doing these types of videos. Many of you know that through my research, I've been able to add quite a bit of size in both length and girth. And I do have a course, guys, where I can teach you what I learned, and in my opinion, the safest ways to go about doing it. So if you're interested, the course is in the link below. All the ways to support me if you need me for coaching, all the links in the description below. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Remember, guys, be the best version of yourself, okay? There's nothing wrong with self-improvement, but please hear me when I say this, especially when it comes to the size of your D. You are enough.
Dr. Hink got the plug on the health, yeah. Got you thinking about your wealth, yeah. In his office, no stealth, yeah. Pinnacle of that below the belt, yeah. Checks and balance, he's managing. Working miracles, no damage. Got you covered, no panicking. Steady calm. In the clinic, no vanishing. Yeah, with Doc Hink, it's the way back.